Have you ever felt that something in the world has shifted? Quietly, suddenly, as if history itself is taking a breath before the next chapter unfolds. Have you wondered why the events of the last few years feel less like coincidences and more like warnings? What if you are living in a window of time the Bible spoke of long before you were born? What if the signs that ancient prophets saw in visions, nations rising, kingdoms shaking, people searching for identity and truth are not just distant predictions, but markers pointing directly toward 2025 and 2026? And what if the choices you make today, your faith, your alignment, your identity, are preparing you for something far bigger than you imagined? Because hidden within Scripture are pattern cycles, prophetic shadows that appear when God is shifting the world toward a new season. And as we approach 2025 and 2026, many of those patterns are resurfacing, louder, clearer, and more urgent. So the question we must ask is simple. What does the Bible warn will happen in the years just ahead? And even more importantly, what does this prophecy mean for you? Stay with me. Something is about to unfold. To understand what may be approaching in 2025 and 2026, we must first step back into Scripture, into the language of warnings, seasons, and divine patterns. The Bible never gives random predictions. Every prophecy is woven into a rhythm, heartbeat of God's interaction with humanity. Ecclesiastes 3 tells us, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven." Jesus warns in Matthew 24 that nation will rise against nation. Lawlessness will increase. The love of many will grow cold. The prophets speak of shaking. The apostles speak of testing. Revelation speaks of separation of those marked by God and those who chase the systems of the world. But Scripture also speaks of windows of mercy, moments when God calls His people to awaken, refocus, and realign before the next shift in the spiritual landscape. Throughout history, many scholars have debated how these patterns repeat, how warning years precede pivotal years, and how God uses times of shaking to expose what is unstable and strengthen what is eternal as we look toward 2025 and 2026. The question is not about predicting a date, but about understanding a pattern, a biblical rhythm that appears before seasons of acceleration, separation, and spiritual refinement. This is the mystery many forget. Prophecy doesn't simply predict events. Prophecy reveals seasons. And according to Scripture, the season ahead carries both warning and opportunity. In the Bible, warnings are never given to frighten God's people. They are given to prepare them, and one pattern appears again and again. Before God elevates, He purifies. Before He reveals, He separates. Before He protects, He marks His people. We see this in Exodus, when God distinguishes Israel in the midst of Egypt's turmoil. We see it in Ezekiel 9, where a mark is placed on the faithful to protect them from judgment. We see it again in Revelation 7, where God seals those who belong to Him before the global shaking intensifies. The world sees fear, but God's people see formation. The world sees chaos, but God's people see clarity in Scripture. Warnings are not threats. They are invitations, divine calls to return, prepare, and stand firm before the winds change. So, what do the prophetic patterns suggest about the years 2025 and 2026? They point to a season of acceleration where events move faster than before, separation where the hearts of people become more visibly divided, revelation where hidden things come to light, preparation where God strengthens those who listen. This is the symbolic heartbeat underlying the biblical warnings, a shift approaching not to destroy, but to define. Imagine a rescue team running into a collapsing building. Before they save anyone, they assess the structure. They check supports. They mark the safe zones. They prepare for the moment when the whole thing will shift. That's what God does before seasons of shaking. He marks, He strengthens, He prepares. Or imagine a marathon runner. The hardest part is never the beginning. It's the final stretch when the body is exhausted but the finish line is near. That's when discipline matters most. When focus becomes life or death, this is the moment humanity is stepping into. Or picture a graduation ceremony. Students don't know every detail, every challenge, or every struggle they will face in their next chapter. But graduation marks a transition, a moment of stepping out of what was familiar into what will demand more maturity, more wisdom, more responsibility. Prophetic warnings are a spiritual graduation. They signify a transition from one season into another, from comfort into calling, from wandering into purpose, and like a family adopting a child into a new home. God never ushers His people into a new season without preparing them for belonging, identity, and protection. 2025 and 2026 are not years of fear. They are years of formation. Now the tension rises because Scripture speaks not only about protection, but about a divide. There is always a seal, and a system, a shepherd, and a counterfeit, a mark of belonging, and a mark of surrender. Revelation shows a world where people must choose their allegiance, where identity becomes the battlefield, not a microchip, not a barcode, but a spiritual alignment, a loyalty, a direction of the heart. As we approach 2025 and 2026, the line between God's ways and the world's ways will become clearer than ever before, not because something new appears, but because everything hidden becomes visible. The pressure to conform, the temptation to compromise, the influence of fear, the pull of convenience. These are the forces that shape people long before any global event ever occurs. The Bible warns that in the final seasons of this age, love grows cold, truth becomes blurred, many are deceived, many grow weary, many drift, but the faithful, those sealed by God, become stronger, clearer, and more unshakable. This is the tension, not an outer conflict, but an inner one, the battle for identity. Because the systems of this world always demand something: your fear, your attention, your conformity. But God also calls you into something: your purpose, your courage, your destiny. The question is, which voice will define you in the years ahead? And now we reach the heart of the prophecy. So what does the Bible warn will happen in 2025 and 2026? Not a single event, but a seasonal shift, a year of unveiling, a year of acceleration, a year when hearts are tested, foundations are shaken, alliances are exposed, and faith becomes more visible. These years mirror the prophetic seasons described in Scripture, a time when God shakes what is unstable so that what is eternal may remain, a time when division is not created but revealed, a time when God marks His people with clarity, conviction, and courage, a time when the world's systems pull harder than ever before, but God's presence becomes stronger for those who seek Him. Imagine Mount Zion rising in a still mode, unbroken, illuminated by the presence of the Lamb. That is the imagery Revelation gives us, a picture of unshakable belonging. In a shaking world, 2025 to 2026 will be a season of refining true faith, exposing false foundations, calling the weary back to God, strengthening the humble, preparing the courageous, and for those who walk with God. This is not a season of loss. It's a season of alignment, a season of revelation, a season of deeper purpose, a season of divine protection, just as in the days of Israel, Ezekiel, and the early church, but promises that those who stand with God will not be shaken. This is the prophecy. This is the pattern. This is the meaning of the years ahead. So now the question becomes personal. What does this mean for you? What happens when the world shifts, but your heart is anchored? What happens when pressure rises, but your identity is sealed? What happens when fear spreads, but you walk in the confidence of the one who holds eternity? 2025 and 2026 are not years to dread. They are years to prepare, years to refocus, years to rediscover your calling, years to strengthen what God placed inside you long before the world tried to weaken it. Ask yourself, where is my faith anchored? What voice shapes my choices? Am I building my life on foundations that will last? Am I living with purpose or distraction? God is not warning you to frighten you. He is calling you closer. He is preparing you for a season of clarity. He is inviting you to step into the identity He crafted for you before the foundations of the world. The prophecies about shaking are not about destruction. They are about distinction, about revealing who you truly are in God's story. You are not here by accident. You are placed in this generation on purpose, for purpose. As the story of time moves toward 2025 and 2026, remember this: God is not shaken. His throne is not threatened. His plans are not disrupted. His people are not abandoned. He is the same God who sealed Israel in Egypt. who sustained Daniel in Babylon, who strengthened the early church in persecution, and who will uphold you in the days ahead. You are part of a bigger story, a divine timeline, a prophetic generation being refined, awakened, and prepared. So walk with courage, walk with faith, walk with expectancy. And if you want more prophetic insights, biblical wisdom, and cinematic teachings like this, I invite you to subscribe and join this journey, because the story God is writing through your life is only just beginning.